Hey guys, Danny Johnson here, and today I'm telling a somewhat sad tale of a 2003 Redfire SVT Cobra. Now, when we were younger, we saw this car driving around in town when it was brand new, my twin brother and I, and I'll put a link to his channel in the description because he has a lot of stories like this that you might be interested in. But anyway, we saw the car driving around here and there, saw it at the gas station, and one day we were on Craigslist, as we normally were, perusing parts, and we saw an ad for a Terminator engine. And being in a small town, we thought that was pretty interesting. So we pulled up the ad, and sure enough, it showed a picture of a supercharged engine just like this. And it said low mileage, nothing wrong with it, still in the car. So if you want to come see it, start it up, you can see that it still runs. And so looking back, I should have gone over just to see what it was all about, but he wanted like $10,000 or $15,000 for it, so there really wasn't much point. We could pretty much buy a Terminator for that price. So I didn't really think too much about it. Then one day, a friend of my brother's said that a guy came up to him and said, "Hey, you want to buy some Mustang parts?" Kind of in a creepy way. So we went over, and apparently they were Cobra parts, and we didn't believe that they would be, but we went anyway, and sure enough, we went over to this stinky little storage unit, and when he threw up the door, we were amazed with what we found. Sure enough, 2003 Redfire Terminator Cobra parts, and most of the car was there. Not pictured, there was also some wiring harnesses, and a T-56 that was torn apart, and some other things like that. But as you can see here, there was the hood, the front bumper, and even the side skirts, the mirrors, all kinds of pieces were, in this little storage unit. So we asked him where he got all these parts, and he said that he was friends with the owner of the storage unit, and apparently some guy had taken an '03 Cobra convertible, and he was behind on his payments for it, and decided he was going to start parting the car out. He was selling the engine, which was gone, which was the Craigslist ad that we had seen, as well as just about everything for the car was listed for sale. And this guy had apparently got behind not only on the Cobra payments, but also on his payments for the storage unit. And so basically, he walked away from the whole thing. And so this shady guy then proceeded to tell us, which I about barfed in my mouth. He said, well, and so the car became ours, being part of the storage unit, and we didn't have a title for it, so we cut the car up. And that was really hard to hear, that a Terminator Cobra had been cut up. There was nothing at that point we could do about it, however, so we looked at all the parts, and there were some things that he had that he wanted a ton of money for, so we just weren't interested. But the body parts he was letting go fairly cheap. So we basically took the bumper and the hood and the side skirts and the folding mirrors and everything that was there. I wanted the wiring harness, but he didn't want to let it go for cheap. And he also had a full independent rear suspension. And so I asked him, how much do you want for that? And he said, I looked them up on eBay. I know what they're worth. I want about $1,500. And I said, well, see you later. I'm not going to, pay full price, especially since the front pinion flange had been removed. And so I said, I don't even know if the gears are set inside or what's happening. He said, well, I took it off. It should be fine. But at any point, I passed it up. So I got away with the Redfire Cobra mirrors, and they had about 75,000 miles on them, so they kind of shook a little bit, but I took them and had them painted torch red so that they would match my Mach 1, and they turned out really nice. It's been really nice having them on there. They make a big statement for the car, these '03, '04 Cobra folding mirrors, as you may be familiar with them. And so I've really enjoyed having them on the car, and my friend got away with the side skirts or whatnot, so some of the other pieces were gone. Well, it wasn't long before I got a phone call, and it was that same guy from the storage unit, and he said, okay, come pick up the wheels, I'll give you a better deal on them. So I came and got them, I think something like $300, and took them home and cleaned them up, and unfortunately sold them to a friend who then moved away and never paid me the full price for them. And then the phone rang again a few months later, and he said, hey, that IRS, my friend's in jail, I need to bail him out, how much? And I said, I'll give you a couple $100. And there was a long pause on the phone. Then he said, all right, fine, come and get it. So I had a nice spare IRS, and eventually I had some people break half shafts and request parts for it. So I started tearing it down. It wasn't doing me too much good sitting. And it was a good opportunity also. I made some videos on how to remove the Terminator half shaft, and some videos about the IRS itself, as well as some other videos taking out the differential and all that. So you can definitely look at those videos if you want to see those too. So anyway, ultimately I did sell what was left of the IRS to a guy in Phoenix, and I ended up keeping the control arms since he for some reason didn't want them. He was doing some kind of a build with it, but anyway, so that's what happened to that IRS, and in the end it was just really sad to see how some of these cars are disappearing. They're getting cut up, they're getting wrecked, and it's too bad that people do some strange things with cars. And so I want to end this video with a little shout out to my brother Justin Johnson, and I'll put a link to his channel in the description. He has a lot of stories. He even has this same story, his version of it that came out first. He said, why don't you make one for your channel as well? But he has really cool stories that you might enjoy, so go check him out as well. Thanks for watching, guys.